it is.
Welcome in to another episode of Building the Pride. I am your host, Drew, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm hanging in there, Drew. Appreciate it. How about you?
Things are good. I dodged a bullet with our weather. Only thing that happened was I have some type of cover on my chimney to prevent critters from crawling down into my chimney, which doesn't exist inside the house anywhere. It's just it erupts out of the top of the house, so whatever.
Right.
I got to get that put back on, but that's not crazy. So I got off pretty light. Lost power, but whatever. So
yeah, we obviously we were in Florida last week on vacation, so that's why I wasn't able to participate in the show. Looked like it was good though, and come back in time. Literally pulled in the driveway, started unloading, and then giant storm. The lights were flickering like we were on the Titanic mid-movie. I'm like, oh my gosh. We thankfully and surprisingly we never lost power, but it was quite the welcome back, and I went from 80s to this week has been in the 30s and 40s. So
well, it's going to
less
jump
than
up.
Ideal weather.
I think it's jumping up tomorrow to be like a pretty nice day. So
yeah, it's going to be mid-50s, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, there we go.
So it's a big change.
Springtime. All right.
But so speaking of freezing and cold, big shout out to Western Michigan University Broncos. They have made their first ever Frozen Four, and for the first time in their history, they are the #1 ranked hockey team in the nation. So congratulations to the Broncos. I don't remember who they're playing in the next round of the Frozen Four, but whoever that is, I hope they win.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see. That'd be a nice story for us locally here.
Yeah.
So, but this is not a hockey show.
It is not a hockey show.
It's a football show.
It is.
So maybe there's some news and notes from around the NFL that we should talk about. Well, we are involved in the winter owners meetings, I believe is what they're called.
Yeah.
And so teams are bringing rule change proposals, talking about players, and you're getting a lot of good. I think there's a lot of good stuff that come out of these meetings. A lot of hot goss, as the kids say nowadays.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do, Drew.
They say that. That's something they say. I'm 100%. Right. I'm certain. I'm certain.
Okay, I'll take your word for
reality. So, the one that I liked today the most was how the agency that represents Dak Prescott gave an interview where they basically outlined how they held the Cowboys hostage for the last 2 contracts.
Really?
That Dak signed. And there's a couple things that came out of that interview that I found very interesting that I'd like to look into more. The first one is those agents that were giving the interview said that you can tag a player up to 3 times.
I
thought 3 times, what the hell? And they said, yeah, you can do it up to 3 times. It's just that no team in the NFL has ever done it. Yeah. Because it's so unbelievably cost prohibitive.
Okay. Unless you're Kirk Cousins.
So, and you'll have to go back. I encourage you to go back and watch the interview. It's from Athletes First is the name of the sports agency. But they basically said prior to the contract that Dak signed most recently, so the one that preceded this extension, they got the Cowboys to tag him for like a day. And then they had language in the contract extension that was like, you can never tag him again for any reason.
Interesting.
So basically they burned the second tag just so that it's like tally marked on somewhere that's like, he has been tagged. That's been given to the league office. He then immediately, like inside 36 hours, signed a contract extension, negating the tag. And then that contract extension has language that says you can never be tagged again for any reason. So, which I thought was weird, because why put that in there if no one has ever done it? But basically it was, we have these two contracts now. He's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. We're just going to tell everybody what we did because we're so fucking cool. You know?
Hey, better safe than sorry. I don't want to be tagged again, because it would be a real shame if I made the average of the top 5 at my position, which is the most expensive position in all of sports. That'd be a real shame.
Yeah, 100%. So that was one of mine. Yeah.
This was mine. This is my favorite piece. The method for measuring first downs in the NFL will be switched from chain gangs to camera-based technology in 2025. They will have a chain gang crew there as a secondary thing. I'm just not sure how or when they would ever truly rely on them. But we know we've had the technology. We've seen the AWS Next Gen stats in all of the Amazon Prime, the cool stuff that the NFL is doing with technology. And I don't know why it took them so long to do something as simple as first downs. It is probably, to me, it's like the low-hanging fruit of things we can do technology for on the field, right? So pretty happy with this, because there's a lot of bad ball placement, or a lot of bad first down calls and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we will not be able to argue as much about did they get that first down or not. Was it a bad spot?
Yeah. So I'm sure the chain gangs are still there just in case something like, oh, we don't know what's going on with the technology on this game. Yeah. Like we have a backup. I completely agree that this is an excellent change. It seems as though almost in all sports, fans want as much ambiguity removed from the end result of the contest as possible.
Yeah, why wouldn't we, right?
This looks like a step towards that. And how many don't we see multiple times a game some angle from like the pylon cam in the touchdown, whether it's close or not, you know? So just do, you know, these won't have pylons or whatever, but like this just makes more sense. Like you don't get the ridiculous chain gang spots where it's like, you know, was the spot good? It's open to human error, and then like the ref looks at it and there's like this like two chain links, 2 chains different, and it's like first down and everyone's like, are you serious right now? Like, you know, like we can eliminate, hopefully this will help
Michigan versus Ohio State.
Okay, I didn't want to bring it up.
But to me, that's a perfect example of like why this kind of technology needs to be there, right?
That is the biggest. I mean, I hate them obviously, but like that is the biggest fucking screw job that Michigan has had in my lifetime on some kind of rules-based in-game. Leave it up to the perception of whomever. It was clearly not a first down. I guess it's clearly not a first down if you're a Michigan fan, and very clearly was if you were an Ohio State fan. But like, I very much would have enjoyed having this technology for that game.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want those. Can you imagine something like that in a Super Bowl?
No.
What a nightmare that would be for the league. And there's especially when there's no reason for it. We had the technology to avoid it. Just do it.
So,
and they are. Thank God.
Yeah, they are. And I think the NFL will do whatever they possibly can to remove the appearance of any impropriety on the field.
Yep.
Right. So this is why they've come
accidental or malicious.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, a referee, the ball spotter, he could be off the line a little bit. He might not have the perfect angle, and from his angle, he might think the ball belongs here, and maybe it should have been 6 inches up or back. That's humans. Like, remove human error from the equation and try to get as exact as possible.
Yeah, so the NFL doesn't want any kind of appearance of impropriety, right? Whether it's like players betting on placing bets at all for any reason, all the way down to we don't want there to be something like the ref put the ball on the 37.5-yard line. Clearly, they've been paid off by the Chiefs, right? Like they want that kind of stuff out of the game. They don't want the innocence of the game to be in question.
Yep.
I think is safe to say. And like, I just want the things to be right.
Or I think that's everybody. What everybody wants is just to have things be right. The right calls made, the right spots made. Every decision outside of what the players do, every non-player decision and action, we just wanted to get right. This will be a big help. The other thing that came out was it looks like they are reviewing the tush push, and that may be removed from the game as well.
So that got tabled this afternoon. So
did it? I hadn't heard that.
Well, that's understandable because it didn't happen that long ago. But like, all that really means is that they're probably going to address it in May, as opposed to right now. Are you pro or con?
I think that the offense has plenty of rules that support them and they give them advantages. Mm-hmm. This is something that was taken. The defense can't do this.
No.
And they can't do this because of player safety issues. Why is this not a player safety issue on the offense? So if they want to say safety, this is no longer a safety issue, let the defense do it as well for things like punts and all the other, other reasons why they would do stuff like this. Or just get rid of it. I don't think you can have one side or the other. So I dislike it. I don't think it takes a lot of the skill out of the game. If you have to go, 8 inches and all you're doing is just mosh pitting, I don't think it is necessarily a skill thing. So I'd say get rid of it. I don't think it brings anything good to the game.
I don't, at the moment, have too defined of an opinion, I guess. Like, the Eagles are real good at it. No one else seems to be really good at it. I think that. So the thing that I'll say about this is I think it rewards teams who invest heavily in their offensive lines. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's like if I just come from too much of an RPG background or whatever, or it's like all of your offensive linemen are 88 rated. You've unlocked tush push, or first of all, completely hate the name. Second, I mean,
the brotherly shove, is that a little better?
That's way better for me.
Yeah.
That's way better for me. But one team in the NFL really uses this. I don't know that it's such an oppressive play that we should be talking about it. It seems like the teams that can't do it want the team that's really good at it to stop doing it, and this is how they're going to accomplish it, as opposed to like, well, I'll draft bigger defensive linemen, or if there were player safety concerns and like we were seeing players become injured during this play with some kind of frequency or regularity, I would have a much more hardline opinion where I'm like, yeah, this probably needs to go.
Yeah.
But there just aren't yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what the issue is.
I'm for the most part take it or leave it. But if you leave it and it stays in, the defense should be able to do the same thing. The defense is already behind the 8 ball in most of the rules. The rules tend to favor the offense because it's quote unquote the most exciting. Yep. But I don't think this is one of those things that they need. I don't think the offense needs a special rule for this. So if you're going to let the offense do it, let the defense do it. Call it good. But as Brian mentions, hey, I dislike it because it's boring and my team doesn't do it. It is a kind of a boring play. There's nothing interesting about it. There's nothing super skill testing about it. So it's kind of a boring play, but if you're going to leave it in, just let the defense do it as well.
Well, the Lions certainly put some rule changes in front of the committee this in these offseason meetings. The biggest one being playoff reseeding. So the Lions have a proposal that was shot down that said what would happen is all the division winners would automatically make the playoffs, but you would then, I believe it said that you would seed the playoffs by win-loss record. So the team that would have benefited in theory this year would have been the Vikings because they were a non-divisional winner who was 14-3. All that really means is that instead of playing the Rams, they would have played the Commanders. So I don't know what the difference is there, really. Both of those teams were, I think, more than capable of beating the Vikings. But, and then I believe you would reseed after each round as well. I don't know why you wouldn't do this. So I would have a problem with it if it was like, we're not going to let the divisional winners make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, like, I don't understand why you shouldn't be rewarded for winning a bunch of games in the regular season. You know, and it doesn't seem
pros and cons to it.
I just don't know tell me what the cons are then.
All right, so let me throw this on stage. And let's listen to Sean McVay. He's against it, and I think he makes a pretty interesting argument. So let me know if you can hear it.
The Lions proposal. Yeah. It would have put you on the road in the wild card round.
I'm hopeful that doesn't go through. And here's why I say that is if here's what my dialogue represented in regards to when this came up. I would be all for it if we played all 15 NFC teams and then 2 cross conference games. But when you're playing 6 divisional games, then you got the strength of schedule based on whatever the previous year's record was and finish. It's not all the same. And so I do think that there is something to be said for winning your division. That means something. And until really there's an adjustment in regards to like schedules, things of that nature.
That's the point we made. That's the exact point we made. That's the other issue too. The Lions proposal. Yeah. It would have put you on the road in the wild.
Yeah. So that was the end. It just looped. But the strength of schedule not being consistent. So sure, you won 14 games, but if your strength of schedule was the worst, is that actually worth a higher seed than somebody with a stronger strength of schedule that has fewer wins?
Yes, it is. Oh, can you?
But why?
Can you fix the audio?
What audio? Oh.
So the issue is strength of schedule will never be uniform. So it's an impossible standard to meet. Because
correct.
So I don't understand why he's bringing it up. So it's like, so his argument is, I'm going to put forth that every team in the NFL meets an impossible standard by having uniform strength of schedule. Now we shouldn't be penalized because of this impossible standard. So I just immediately reject his idea because the thing that he said can't happen. So you will never have uniformity in how difficult a team season was. So even if you all played the same teams, what happens then if the Rams play the Buccaneers in week 4 and the Buccaneers in week 4 are completely healthy, and then in week 8 the Lions play the Buccaneers and they've lost Mike Evans for that game? So it's not the same. It's not the same team. The team is not as good as the team that Los Angeles played. It just happens to be the same team that they played. So what are we talking about? So we're not even talking about uniformity and strength of schedule amongst teams. You can play the same team and have the uniformity, and the team is still different. Look at the Lions last year. The Lions last year had almost 20 injuries, almost all of which were on defense. They won 15 games.
Yep.
Okay, so they overcame an obstacle to earn the right to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Okay, so the Rams won their division. They earned the right to make the playoffs. And under the current format, they earned the right to host a playoff game. All I think the Lions proposal is saying is that a team like the Vikings has done more than a team like the Rams because they won more games over the course. They just didn't happen to win their division.
Right.
So, I mean,
no, and I'm not saying that Sean McVay is right and that it's a bad idea. I'm just saying that I think there's merit to those that say I don't think we should make the change. Strength of schedule, a 14-2 record for one team is maybe not as good as a 12-4 record from another team, just from a quality of opponent standpoint. So, does the record matter? I think it does. I'm more in favor of this than not in favor, but I think he at least brings up a reasonable point for those that don't want to do it. From that perspective, I'm still in favor of, hey, if you win your division, that guarantees you a playoff spot. That doesn't guarantee you home field, right? That's my personal, opinion, but I understand where the opponents of that, like, hey, winning your division should mean something, and yes, it means a playoff spot, but do we want the division games to matter more? Like,
well, division games are always going to matter more than non-division games because winning your division gets you into the playoffs. Okay. So 4 teams, each conference get automatic playoff berths. Doesn't matter what your record is, so long as you win your division, right? Okay. Down for it. I do think that it's weird that we have had in the past teams with losing records win their division and host playoff games.
Yeah.
And so this proposal would fix that issue because a team with a losing record was rewarded, not this year,
right,
with a playoff berth. Okay, great.
Well, that was Tampa Bay a couple years ago, right?
Right. It's not in that far in the past, So So I don't have a problem with rewarding a team once for winning their division, regardless of record. I have a problem with rewarding them twice when they didn't win as many games as another team in the same conference.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's not a rule change that hurts any football team moving forward because it's not retroactive. It doesn't change the fact that the Rams would have been on the road as opposed to hosting because we all operate under the same rule set moving forward. So, in the Rams, I mean, I think that it's likely that you will have in most seasons the team with the second highest win total in a conference could very well not be the division winner.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And the interesting about that is if that's the case, if you didn't win your division, but you had the second best or tied for the second best record in your conference, you had a strong schedule. You played a really good division, right? You played in a great division.
Right. So, I mean, I guess where I want to go with this right now. Like, if you look at the Lions, which we haven't yet, but if you look at the Lions' upcoming schedule for 2025, it's nightmarish.
Yeah.
And
it's real tough.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, and so there's going to be more away games than there were at home. Okay. They are a first place team and a first in conference team, which means they are going to get the harder schedules and they are going to play a lot of really good teams. So if they have won so many things, why are they now receiving a detriment, right? And the reason the NFL does that is to create parity. Because if you just had the excellent teams play the worst teams in the NFL, you would have a lot of 15-2s or 17-0s. And now the disparity between good and bad becomes even greater. And it's better when good teams play each other.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that this would probably, over the long haul, statistically, mean that you would have in the playoffs, deeper into the playoffs, potentially having teams who have won more games end up playing each other in the like NFC or AFC title game, divisional round, that kind of stuff. And like you could make the argument that I would make the argument that the teams who have won more games are just better overall quality teams. And that
winning
makes
is hard. Any given Sunday, right? A win is whether even the worst team in the league tends to win some games, which means a win doesn't mean less because it was a worse team than you. And like as Brian says, winning the divisions, how bad teams make the playoffs, giving them more rewards doesn't necessarily make sense.
And so the Rams were not that last year, right? So I would expect teams from like the NFC South, the AFC South, to be opposed to this rule because then that means that they might actually lose something, which would be hosting a playoff game. Because they're in line of like all we have to do is be the best of a bad group of 4 teams in the NFC South in order to host a playoff game. We don't want this rule to change. Like that's revenue in our pocket. So, but I mean, it's also incentive to become better, So I just, which I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that it's not every team's goal to win games. It's like to fill a bottom line or make sure that there's revenue coming in or whatever, as opposed to like it matters what we do on the field. Like in Detroit for a long time, it didn't feel like it mattered, but now it does, and I just think that this change would help reflect that for the entire league. And I think it's uniform, which means it's fair.
Yep.
And I have a hard time seeing a downside, to be honest.
Yeah, and to your point, and even Joseph kind of reiterated what you said. It's tough to say how hard the schedule is. I don't see too many alternatives that are any more fair or more right. So I think winning the division gets you in the playoffs. It's a feat. Winning your division is hard, even in bad divisions, because if you're in a bad division and everybody's bad, you still have to be better than the other bad teams, right?
Right.
And you're playing them each 2 games apiece. So winning your division because of that in and of itself is hard. So that at least gets you into the playoffs. That's the only thing that really, and from there, the New York Giants have proved, I think both of their Super Bowl runs, they were wild card, like last seed kind of guys, right? So getting you in, anything can happen. So that's the critical piece. And then the better you are, the better your rankings should be. So I just don't see any other better way to do it than what the Lions are recommending and what a lot of people have talked for years about changing how that would look.
Do you have another news and note? Because I've got at least one more.
Around the NFL?
Specifically, one more proposed Lions rule change.
No, go for it.
So the Lions have proposed and got shot down 30-2 that a defensive holding penalty should not automatically result in a first down. And I'm
on board with that too.
Obviously, I love that. Oh, we can talk about that too, Joseph. I am tired of the following scenario. Team A has a holding penalty. It's 1st and 20. They run a draw or a screen. They get 4 yards. And then on third down, they run a pick play or something, or a rub or something designed to get 2 offensive players downfield next to each other and then forcing the defense to react at full speed. That should not result in a first down. Now, my team plays more man than any team in the NFL by a ton. So obviously it affects teams playing man coverage more.
Yeah.
So like the last rule they proposed is uniform. This rule clearly favors teams that run man coverage. And so Detroit would benefit from this way more than other teams.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculous. And to your point earlier in the show about they have legislated defense out of the game, I don't know why you couldn't compromise and say, yeah, it's still, give them 10 yards instead of 5.
Hey, but offensive holding is 10 yards.
Don't give them the first down. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, like, what they are effectively saying is a defensive hold is yardage plus a new set of downs. But an offensive hold you should at least lose a down for that.
Yeah, it's 10 yards and you get to repeat the down.
We have not talked about Calais Campbell's new contract yet, Danny. No.
We will get there. We're still on news and notes around the NFL, which is, I guess that is one of those.
I guess that would go. So the onside kick rule.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've heard about the onside kick. I heard they made the dynamic kick more permanent, and they've pushed back the where you kick the ball from 5 yards to encourage more returns, which that's the thing I don't understand. Like, this change was there to largely eradicate returns in the NFL. And at the end of the season, I think you found teams were figuring out that if you kick the ball high and let it land at around the goal line, you were winning the field position battle. And I think they are worried that the kick will result in actually a detriment of field position and therefore a detriment to scoring. So they've made these changes. So what's the onside kick rule?
It's basically that. The upcoming season, this is from an MSN.com article. The upcoming season, teams will further be incentivized to avoid touchbacks if a ball doesn't land in the return zone. A new rule approved by NFL team owners means a touchback will result in the ball being placed at the 35-yard line instead of the 30. So they're incentivizing it to bump it up a little bit. Rich McKay, NFL Competition Committee Chairman and Falcon CEO, the league projects the kickoff rule change would result in a considerable increase in kick returns going forward. Well, the owners gave the green light for moving the touchback spot from the 30 to the 35. The onside kick rules will stay the same for the time being. The team owners plan to discuss onside kick further during next month's meeting.
I'm fine with some of this stuff, but like I guess I'm not fine. Okay, I'm used to the ball being returned to the 20-yard line. Like in 5 years, we're almost doubling this. Like, how much advantage do we have to give the offense before it's just like, okay, they completed a pass, you're at midfield? I mean, like, I think it's ridiculous that it comes out to the 30. Yeah. And now we're going another 5 yards.
See, the crazy thing to me is I thought they were doing these rules for the kickoff because kick returns were so dangerous and there were so many injuries. They wanted fewer returns. They're getting fewer returns, and they're like, "Oh, we need to get more returns." I don't get it.
I don't okay, so let me see if we can puzzle this out. They move to this new kickoff rule. We get the ball coming out to the 30. So you kick it out the back of the end zone, the ball comes out to the 30, right?
Yep.
So now...
Sorry. Bryce, move the spot forward until Kyler and Bryce can see the end zone.
So now, under this new rule change, you kick it out the back of the end zone, the other team gets it at a 35. So, like, this is akin to you kick the ball out of bounds on the kickoff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
which came out to the 40. It's right. Not much different.
So if this is the case, and my choice as a team kicking the ball off is to either eliminate a return and give my opponent the ball on the 35, or tell my kicker to kick the ball as high in the air as he possibly can. And, and then hopefully try and get it somewhere inside the 10 or inside the 5. And then we'll start the thing. Like, I would rather do that. And I think now under this rule system, I would rather give up the threat of a big play and take the 95% you're going to start the ball from the 19-yard line or some shit. So it's the 35 is just you're talking about in the modern NFL having been like you're going to be in field goal range in 3 or 4 plays.
Yeah, it's 2 first downs?
Yeah, I mean
3 first downs. 3 first downs in your field goal range, which a lot of times is 2 plays.
Yeah, I just don't like it. It's like I heard a story about Russia in the Cold War where like there was a fence, which was the border between 2 countries, right? Them and Poland, or I don't know, some Eastern Bloc country. And then every night the Russian soldiers would come out and dig up the fence and move it like 2 feet closer into their opponent. And so one night there's this like Belarusian or Polish farmer or somebody, and he wakes up and all of a sudden his farm is on the other side of the fence. And he goes, hang on a second, what's going on? This can't be a real story. But he goes, hang on, what's going on here? Like, I'm a citizen of this other country. And they're like, no, you are always Russian, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, they just keep moving the fence on us. And I'm like, why?
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, this is ridiculous.
Where'd all my French fries go?
Right.
No, I don't know.
This is just, we've reached the point where I'm like, you should not be giving a team starting their offensive series 35 yards towards their end zone. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too big of an advantage.
So a couple of the other rules, the club owners granted approval to changes in the overtime process. Under the new rules, both teams will have the opportunity to possess the ball in overtime, which mirrors the postseason rules. That was a Philadelphia Eagles proposal.
I hate the overtime rules in the NFL. They should make
at least everybody gets a shot. There's no, if I go down and score, you don't get an opportunity. So at least there's that.
College football figured out the best way to do overtime, in my opinion. So,
yeah. Where do they start from? Is it the 20?
25.
Okay. See, I would start them at the 40, but do the college rules. A few more plays, a little bit more, drama, but not anything absurd. Still in field goal position if you go nowhere, right? It's a more exciting field goal. The league's replay assist system will also be expanded. We already talked about the chain gang piece, but there's a proposal that was approved that allows the on-site replay official to overturn penalty flags that are thrown for a hit to a player who is deemed to be defenseless.
No, I was hoping it would be for other things, but
penalties for horse collar tackle, roughing, tripping, and running into the kicker, as well as fouls for face mask, would also be under the replay referee's purview.
There's only one rule that I really want someone from New York to be able to override in game. And
hit to the helmet of the quarterback.
That's 100%
the quarterback.
That's 100% what it is. Yeah. Been like, okay, I know that falls in the definition of the words mean this. If you look them up in the dictionary. So if you go like that, yes, you've struck a player and a quarterback in the helmet, therefore it's a penalty. It's bullshit. And I hate it. And it's such an unbelievably damaging penalty for something that you're never eliminating pass rush out of the game. Like, the best thing that you can hope for is that, like, because they will start diving at knees.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
that's
like, I would
be even worse.
I would rather get slapped in the helmet than get a helmet to my knee.
Yeah.
So
the replay official will not have the power to enforce a penalty on a play in which no flag was thrown, though. So there has to be a penalty, and then they can go, nah. Upon review, it wasn't a penalty, but they can't go, hey, by the way, go back. There was a roughing call. So, which is, I like that. I don't want them. It'll be a nightmare because every play can have some sort of flag somewhere. So if it's not egregious enough for an on-field ref to see in real time, we probably shouldn't have someone stopping the game and reversing crap up.
All it says to me is, they're encouraged to throw the flag as to whether or not it's going to be a correct call, which means now so if I'm an official and I see it, I have to throw the flag, make a ruling, and then rely on New York to either back me up or get it right. So, but now what happens is I throw the flag. So which to me, that doesn't really change anything because they're throwing those flags anyways.
Right.
Way too much, in my opinion. But every time you throw a flag, it slows the game down, breaks the pace of play.
Do you think it's going to increase the number of flags or decrease? Because I think it's going to decrease because they can only be overruled if the flag was thrown. And if you're overruled a lot, you look bad as a ref, and you don't get to go in and referee, more important postseason games and Super Bowls and stuff like that. But if you don't ever throw that flag, they're not overruling you. So I'm wondering if it's actually going to provide less flags.
No, I think the opposite, and here's why. So, like, there was, I don't remember who it was against, maybe us, but, like, the Vikings were playing somebody at the end of the year, and Sam Darnold was in their end zone trying to make a pass to continue their drive and, like, have a chance to come back. And it might have been their playoff game. And someone grabbed his face mask.
That was the Rams.
Oh, was it?
Trying to sack him, grabbed his face mask a little bit. Well, a lot of bit. But it was like no referee was in a good enough position to see it.
Right. So, like, that shit was a penalty. And I think that the case the NFL would make is those, the refs are people, but they're on the field. There's like 7 of them that are out there. And it's hard to imagine, certainly possible, that when the quarterback has the ball, if they don't have 3 sets of eyes on him or at least 2 sets of eyes on him, like, as long as he has the ball for this exact kind of thing, it's crazy. And so, like, I think that the worst infraction for the NFL is to have something that should have been called that wasn't, that creates controversy, as opposed to we threw the flag, we called a penalty, it was either upheld or overruled. Okay, we followed the process. So I think that my guess is that the same number of flags get thrown. It doesn't seem like, if I was a ref, I wouldn't just be like, I think he touched him. Like, I'll let New York back me up on this one or whatever. I'm not throwing that flag so that someone else in New York can do my job for me.
Right.
But I'm not going to, and, like, who knows what happened in that playoff game. But, like, I'm also not going to
just a bad position. Like, okay, so I wouldn't say the ref was out of position, but the play moved in such a way that he just couldn't see.
Right. So
he's human, which means he's going to make mistakes too, right?
Well, maybe there should be a provision for something like one time. I mean, so referee. I don't know that many people know this, but, like, referees have unbelievable power inside the NFL rules. Like, so for the play that I always come back to is years ago, Mike Tomlin was on the sidelines and they were playing the Ravens, and the Ravens
he accidentally backed into the field.
It is within the purview of the NFL, the referees in the NFL, to say he would have scored a touchdown. We're awarding him a touchdown.
Yeah.
They are allowed to do that. So I don't know why New York shouldn't have the ability to say this one time per game, like, this is an egregious miss. Okay, you guys were out of position, or something like a pass rusher was coming upfield and bumped into one dude and he's falling down, and the other guy's trying to run and like turned his head in a split second or whatever, and he's not seeing it.
He blinked at the wrong time.
Right. Something like that, you know? And so they're like, we are exercising our ability on this play to negate controversy. We are throwing a flag for you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would hate that, but like, think of it like a challenge from the officials, but it doesn't matter.
Well, to your point of that awarding touchdowns, I believe, wasn't it the Eagles was it the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah.
Or
they got close to it.
Yeah. Because the other team they were trying to do the tush push, right? It was right at the goal line, and they kept jumping offside. They tried to time it. They kept jumping off sides, and they're like, you do that again, we're just going to give them the touchdown so we can move on. And then, of course, they scored the next time because they're afraid to jump off sides, and the Eagles got the benefit of, I guess, the surprise attack. Everybody knew what was coming, but they didn't know when the ball was being snapped. But they had to be super patient, right? So and I didn't know that was a thing that they could do until the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Just so that we can say we did it. Apparently, Calais Campbell signed a 1-year contract with the Arizona Cardinals for $5.5 million. And incentives that would bump it up to $7.5 million. And I think that's totally fine. I would have paid him that to play in Detroit this year. I would have loved Calais Campbell to be in Detroit. So,
Brad Holmes was pretty. He was actually pretty impressed. Let's move on to the Lions stuff now. On the NFL.
45 minutes in. Let's go.
47 minutes in. Let's talk about some Lions. So Brad Holmes was talking about how he was actually excited about the offseason. And he's like, I understand a lot of fans want us to make big splashes and do more. But he was like, I thought we did better than we expected because we were able to get a high-end corner at a better rate than we would otherwise have expected. But he's like, y'all have to remember, we're not just doing this for this year. Like, we've got some upcoming re-signs that we have to do. You know, this offseason also sets us up for re-signs and future off-seasons.
May I share my screen?
Pay everybody. You absolutely may.
Please let me try and illustrate Brad's point. So this is overthecap.com, littered, one could say, with ads. But the important thing is, and let me make this bigger.
Well, do you want me to add it to stage?
Oh shit! Yeah, please.
No,
Sorry,
I
always forget. I always forget that. Are we added?
That's why you've got me here.
Yeah, you're good at this stuff. Are we added?
We're on.
Okay. So as we see right now, after free agency, the Lions are fourth in available cap space, $42.9 million. Okay. Yep. So to what Brad has said, like, hey, I really like our offseason. Let me show you, I think, why he's excited about it. Let's jump to 2026. And where are the Lions now? Oh, here we are. A bottom 5 team in the NFL. And this is with all of these contracts currently are bleeding. Oh wait, here, 26. 31 people of the 53 are signed to the roster 2 years from now.
Yep.
So when Brad is like, I thought we did pretty well, it's because the 26 cap is when Goff's contract skyrockets. You have McNeil, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Penei Sewell all in their big number years. So, Jacob, Mike, you weren't here last week. We have a new guy in chat. His name's Jacob Burnley. How much can they carry over from this year from the next? So, Jacob, that's an excellent question. And I didn't know that until this year when I looked it up. Anything that you save underneath the salary cap in a given year, you can apply to the NFL to roll every dollar of that cap space over. So, Detroit is going to have to sign their draft class, which right now is like 6 or 7 guys. It's like estimated to be something like just over $7 million. They've traditionally wanted 30 plus million to play around with in season for like practice squad elevations, for injuries, signing players, for that kind of thing.
Right.
And you are probably going to burn 11, 12, $15 million in cap space for that type of stuff. So I'm anticipating at 42, almost 43 million, they're going to take 20 of that off, perhaps. So you're looking at being able to roll over 22. Well, no, just before restructures, like unused money in this upcoming season, rolling over to 2026. Okay. You could be somewhere in the ballpark of, hey, what's up, Donkey Kong? It's been a minute, man.
What's going
on? You'll be able to roll over somewhere between, like, I would imagine, like $18 and $22 million. And then the cap goes up. If the cap goes up 15, 17, $20 million like it did this last year, you're getting that breathing space back on top of it. But then you got to remember, now we're back up to roughly where we are right now, and you have 31 dudes on the team. So, I mean, like, call it 30, call it maybe 40 after the draft class, after, like, maybe 1 or 2 extensions that you do. But, like, and we'll talk more about the cap maybe even after the draft, because that's when we'll have the best look at, like, what we're going to have going into the season. But we're now coming up on the time where, like, the extensions are going to change how the Lions operate in season.
Yeah.
So it's an excellent question, Jacob.
Yep. And Holmes was talking. He said, hey, look, I'm more than happy with how free agency went. I say more than happy because we were able to get guys we really wanted to get. That's not always the case. Like, we don't compromise and get a prospect that we're warm on. So they really target the guys that they really want, and they don't go, man, I guess we could settle. Like, they don't settle. So he's happy with that. He said he was more than happy because we were actually able to do more than he thought that they were going to be able to do. Mostly around planning for the future. And he actually had an interesting analogy that he kind of shared on it. He's like, all right, this analogy popped into my head this morning. You have financial responsibilities, you have a mortgage or your kid's college fund, your 529, you have insurance to pay. It's like, you got to pay for those things, but that might require you that you can't take the vacation you really want right now this summer. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at right now. We've had some of these young players that have been on rookie deals. We've been enjoying the impact that they've all been bringing, but now a bill's coming. What you spend this year is going to impact next year, even impacts 2027. So that's the discipline we have to adhere to. So all of this to say, we're not going to make huge splashes this year because that will affect our ability to re-sign guys like Hutch, which obviously he is a pillar to what we do, and we need to we got to show him the money. And we don't want an off-season signing this year to affect our ability to do that next. So
to that point, like Brad also made mention at these meetings that they have every intention of re-signing Kirby Joseph. So it looks like the guys who are getting quote unquote pillar money, as I'm dubbing it, are going to be Aiden and Kirby Joseph, which then raises the question about Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
But if you're ready, Mike, I would like to add a banner to the screen.
Ooh.
For our main topic of the evening here. Dun, 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 dun. Are the Lions better? Are the Lions a better roster after free agency? So I want to share my screen again. Dun, 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 dun. I'm getting better at this. Someday I'll be good. Go back here. Add that. Okay, so here we have Pride of Detroit's off-season
Zoom in a
tracker.
touch.
What's that? Zoom in a touch?
Zoom in a touch.
Sure.
Por favor.
Oh, yeah. Bienvenido. So let's go through what the offseason has been for the Lions in this chat. And then at the end of this, let's have a discussion if the Lions are, in fact, a better roster than we ended last season with.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so additions to the roster, we've added DJ Reed. He was our big signing, right?
Yep.
Roy Lopez, who Dan Campbell said they were very impressed with when they played the Cardinals early last season. Grant Steward, I think is how you say his name, not Steward. I think it's Steward. This is the new Jalen Reeves-Maybin. He's almost going to be a pure special teams linebacker. Kyle Allen, he'll either compete with Jake Fromm for practice squad reps or directly with Hendon Hooker. Kenny Yeboah as a fourth tight end. And then two of my favorite signings, Rock Ya-Sin, if he's healthy, would be nice cornerback depth. So think of another Emmanuel Mosley type of situation. Yeah. And then nickelback Avonte Maddox, who is from the Detroit area. And one of the things I love about him, he's got like all the sports insignias for like the Pistons and the Tigers or whatever tattooed on his arm. Nice. So this is a Michigan kid. We have released previously mentioned Jalen Reeves-Maybin, edge Zadarius Smith, who Brad Holmes said they would have loved to have kept him, but not at that price point, and that they're in touch with his agent if something changes.
Yep, they're still talking.
Lions, people who are on the Lions that they re-signed, running back Craig Reynolds, he's your number 3. Tim Patrick's your wide receiver X. Shane Zylstra, probably tight end 3. Dan Skipper, backup guard Natani Moody, backup guard Coyote Awashika, presumed starter Marcus Davenport at edge, Mitchell Aguda, exclusive rights free agent, edge Al-Quadin Muhammad, who's going to get a chance to compete to at least make the roster, 3 tech Miles Adam, 3 tech Levi Muzarike, nose tackle Pat O'Connor, Sam linebacker Derek Barnes, another special team linebacker Anthony Pittman, Ezekiel Turner, who I don't know where he's going to try and get a roster spot, but he feels like he's competing with Pittman and Sward for special teams reps. Khalil Dorsey, once again as a special team gunner. Safety Maurice Norris. They have applied a tender to Michael Neese, backup center, and Trevor Nowatzki, who was a edge linebacker, one of the two. Those guys signed elsewhere, and these guys are still testing free agency. So I have a take. What is yours? First impressions.
I think that our cornerback situation, with losing Davis and getting Reed, I think it's about the same. I don't think it's a downgrade. I don't necessarily think it's upgrade either. So I think it's pretty flat there. And I think most of the others are either flat or maybe slight upgrades. So I would say that we're probably better after free agency. I think the biggest boost to our roster is health. The health of our guys that we lost throughout last year, right? So I think that's gonna be the biggest benefit to our roster, just getting those guys back. But I think this is a slight improvement. I wouldn't say it's a huge step up or wow, this is going to get us 2 more wins. We were 15-2, so that would put us undefeated. But I think it kind of keeps us in that 15-win category.
So I'm going to cop out here, and I'm going to say I don't know that I can make a case that this roster is better or worse.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, and it mirrors your point exactly, I think that it's just deeper. So all the guys that they hired or signed to come in to fill the spots of those 15, 16, 17, 18 guys who went on IR or missed time, we have gone through a shakeout process. And the ones who showed up are the ones who are going to get a chance to compete to be on the roster this upcoming season. Ezekiel Turner, Miles Adams, Al-Quadin Muhammad, those guys. One thing we didn't say here is that they lost Kevin Zeitler. And they signed Kevin Zeitler for $6 million last offseason, and he was the 3rd overall guard in football.
Yep. That's
amazing. So if you want to call Carlton Davis and DJ Reed a 1-for-1, I'm there for it. Christian Mahogany played well in the 2 games that he had to step in. I don't know. I don't think that you can lose the 3rd guard in football and replace him with a second-year player and say, no, we're as good. That might happen. That could Christian Mahogany had games, I think he was in either the upper 70s or even the low 90s in the 2 games that he played last season, full-time starter reps. Can he do that over a 17-game season? That remains to be seen. So I think there's a case for, we got better. There's some good points. No, we got worse. Yeah, there's some good points. But the one I think I want to go with is this is as close as a team has come to just running it back that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In the NFL. And the only difference between now and week 1, in my opinion, is we're going to add a draft class, and then we'll have about 12 guys that they're going to add to get the roster up to 90. So this is going to look real similar to what it did last year.
Which is good. We're a 15-2 team, right? Like, if we can keep at a same level, I'll take a 15-2 team again.
Yeah, I would take that forever.
So, Brian mentions JMO's not worth pillar money at this point. I think they get a short extension done. It'll help him earn more money and let us spread out the cap bites. One of the things that I had read was that we are looking at extending or taking up his 5th-year option. Mm-hmm. Holmes didn't say with 100% certainty what will happen, but he said, look, it's heading that way. We're most likely going to be doing that. He said that JMO has more in him and makes sense for the Lions to pick up his option. So I expect, while he's not necessarily pillar money yet, I agree with that. But I also agree with Brad Holmes that JMO's had a heads and tails better year last year than the previous year, and I think he's got some pretty decent improvement that we can make, and picking up the 5th-year option makes both financial sense for us on the short term, but also him on the long term. He gets to prove his worth. We get an extra year of pretty reasonable cost, and
this is my screen. Kind of a
win-win. This is your screen. Yeah, 5th-year projections.
I'm sorry, I forgot where we were, but so currently Jameson Williams has the cheapest 5th-year option that he could potentially have.
Yep.
End of sentence. I don't know. So
that's not bad considering he's on a trajectory that's up, not flat or down, right?
Yeah. So there's some chatter here in the chat, so let's just kind of address this all real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
They did lose 2 coordinators. They are going to play one of the most difficult schedules in the NFL next season. You're going to have one more road game than you are at home now. They won all their road games last year. So does that continue? My concern with the schedule that I have seen is that we're going to play teams that we've traditionally not performed well against. Baltimore, Buffalo. That's about it.
Again, Buffalo, they've beaten us 2 of the last 2 years or something.
Stop
it, guys.
Yeah. And so here's my thing. this upcoming 2025 season should be a great litmus test to say, is Detroit a tier 1 NFL Super Bowl contending team? If so, you have to be able to beat in some combination Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philadelphia, those elite teams. You have to be able to do it. And so they're going to get a chance to play a bunch of them. So here's a great test.
A lot of litmus tests, right?
And they are, so I have heard the cliche, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Our worse was pretty great. So like,
I mean, worse, a 13-win season is technically worse, but that's still a good chance that that's going to win a division.
So I do like this. I do like what Donkey Kong has said here. I expect players that the Lions draft to get better. So what does a year of Terry and Arnold not holding for the first half of the season look like? You know, he's going to get their other team's number one for sure.
Yep.
If he's playing clean, it's a different start to the season than we had last year. With the
Jack Campbell had a boost of a year,
yeah,
right?
That's a great
another
example.
Year. What does he look like this next year? You know, going into his third year.
You know, all of a sudden does Broad. So like, hey LM,
what's up LM?
So Kirby Joseph took off in his third year. He had 2 relatively mediocre years, and then he exploded and was an All-Pro in his third year. Is that something that we could look for from a Broderick Martin, perhaps, who needs to have some kind of definitive, I'm playing many more snaps, and I'm playing them at such a high level. You know, weird to say, but like, how much better can Brian Branch get? You know,
right?
Like,
and what is Hutch doing Hutch things for a full year look like?
Yeah, so like, if you don't, I fully expect that there will be injuries that this team has to go through this season. But like, if you get back a potential defensive player of the year, assuming he's this, I assume that he will be the same.
Yep.
Hutchinson. If Kirby Joseph plays the same, if Jack Campbell only has a slight improvement, he's a top 10 linebacker in the NFL. You know, what could Jahmyr Gibbs look like in year 3? I mean, like, that's crazy to kind of think about because of how good he looked last year.
Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, let's take a quick peek. Mm-hmm. Highest percentage of rushes going for 10 or more yards. Jahmyr's at number 1, and it's a big jump between him and number 2, James Conner / Derrick Henry.
The only water I'm going to throw on this is that all of that was done with Ben Johnson calling plays. So
yeah, and we don't know what it's going to look like, right, going forward.
That is the question.
Like and as we're talking about other like how people might play, Aleem McNeil is another one of those guys. When are we going to come back? It doesn't sound like it's going to be start of camp anymore. Nope. And probably not early in the season from what Dan Campbell said. So, but when he comes back, if he can be ACL injuries are pretty tough, right? Especially for big men. So if he can be 85 or 90% of what he was before for the rest of the season, what does that look like for us?
Dan Campbell said today they don't care when he comes back so long as it's before the end of the season.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So I am firmly believing that he will start the season on the injured reserve list for the first. Yeah. There's so many injured reserve lists now, it's kind of hard to keep track of them all. But like, I think there's a 4-game one or maybe a 6-game one. And I think that he's very clearly going to be on that list. And then if you get, if the recovery is just clean and on a linear trajectory, you might get him. Let's say you get him for the second half of the season.
Right.
Well, that means you don't have him for the front.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that's a lot of snaps that, like, on Luzarike will need to eat up. That's a lot of snaps that...
Roy, the new guy, right?
Well, he's a nose tackle. So...
Yeah, he might eat some of those snaps, too, if we adjust a little bit on the line.
There's going to be some odd-looking packages.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to put Roy Lopez and DJ Reader out there on first and second down, I mean, just good luck fucking running on this defense. I mean...
And then you got Hutch on one side, Davenport on the other.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
and I'm not a big Jim Harbaugh fan, but I will say and not surprising since he coached Hutch, but they asked him about Hutchinson. He said he has no doubt that he'll come back 100% and even better, stronger, quicker, more relentless. That's just his makeup. So Harbaugh is considered a pretty damn good coach. So it doesn't benefit him to blow smoke for his opponents.
Sure.
So this is pretty cool coming from a guy like him.
Yeah, I think that he's highlighting the reality of the situation, which is that like if he had not said that, I don't think there's any doubt amongst people who know Aiden Hutchinson that that's exactly what's going to happen. Like I think with Aiden Hutchinson, it's more about preventing him from re-hurting himself by how hard he's going to work than it is we're worried that he'll put the work in to get back to where he was. Like I think he's the kind of guy that needs to be restrained in his
motor.
Yeah. I mean, like,
put a little bit of just a teeny bit of a governor on that thing.
I mean, like, to me, he sometimes he feels like a car that has no brakes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, this is a safety feature that all cars should have. Maybe you just have a cheap pair of brakes, Aiden, but we need to put it on there because you're just very, very important to us. And so, like, I also think that he's intelligent, so I also don't think that he will do something that will jeopardize his ability. Like, he understands if I continue to push, it's actually to my detriment. So right. I'll go hard in the box that I have, and eventually that box will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I'll be able to do what I want to do again. So I don't have any issues about Aiden coming back.
We're talking about how the this offseason affects future off seasons and that whole financial long-term viability thing.
Yeah.
And we talked about Branch being, needing to be re-signed, but next year Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, and Branch are all going to be up for extensions.
Yep.
That's a lot of folks. Like I don't want to, I don't want to understate how much money that potentially could be next, starting that following year, right? We would do the extensions next year, and then the money would typically kick in kind of the following year. But like, we have to be ready for that then.
So the way that Detroit seems to be formatting their extensions is sign the player to the extension. We all get excited. Year one of the extension, there is obviously an increase over your rookie contract, because how could there not be? They pay them so little. But year two of those extensions are when you see the like top 5 money per position hits, and it hits hard. Like Jared Goff in 2026 is going to be making 69. His cap number is $69 million. Almost $70 million for Jared Goff. So, I mean, and like, that's fine. Like, your quarterback's probably going to cost twice as much as your next best player. But like, Ali McNeil will be in the mid-30s. St. Brown will be in the low 30s. Penei Sewell will be in the high 20s. That type of thing. So like, I am expecting Brad to continue to do what he has done, which is to get to the negotiating table first with his extensions. So
he's the anti-Bengals,
anti-Cowboys,
and anti-Cowboys,
right? Exactly. So like, you nailed it. So like, I continue to expect that Brad will get pillars extended at their earliest opportunity.
Yeah.
So to me, they're not picking up Aiden's 5th-year option. They're not picking, and Kirby doesn't have one. So, like, to me, I think those guys are going to be extended before the season. I would say before the draft, but like because that's what he did last year. But like, I would certainly say before the new season. I would want him to do it as soon as possible because you have guys like T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson, and Micah Parsons who are all going to get extensions. And depending on what position those teams' rosters are in will dictate how much they have to pay those players to remain on their teams. So if Micah Parsons pushes the edge pass rusher market up another 2, 3, 4, possibly, who knows, $5 million. I have a hard time believing that Dallas will give him 45 a year, but like,
any scenarios where we sign him and Hutch?
No, not outside of Madden 2025. So,
that'd be something else, wouldn't it?
It would be. So I had a scenario today doing a mock draft where Abdul Carter fell past number 4. And when I saw that he didn't go at 4, I paused the mock and I thought, I'm picking at 28.
Yeah.
What do I have to
give you
trade?
My first and my next 2 firsts?
Yeah, basically. Like, what do I have to trade to get to 5 to draft Abdul Carter? Because that's fucking sick. So like, couldn't put together a proposal that the team at 5 would accept. So, moot point. However, to your point, I think that the Lions are going to have to break format and get creative with their extensions. They're all going to have to be early, but like, look at someone like Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
So, clearly a pillar of the team, excellent player. I was wrong about him. I still think this is how you should approach Jahmyr Gibbs. He plays out his 4 years on his first round contract. You pick up his 5th year, and then you go tag, and then you let him enter free agency, and you have him on roster for 7 years.
Yeah,
because the 5th year option, he has not made a Pro Bowl yet. Is that correct? First ballot Pro Bowl. And
that's a great question.
And if he has not, he has been splitting carries with David Montgomery for 2 seasons. So if he hits the player snap percentages or like incentives in the 5th year option metric, he could also end up being the cheapest 5th year option that you could have for him.
Yeah.
And then if you tag him, he plays at one of the positions that is taggable and still affordable in the NFL solely because he's a running back. So
do you do the exclusive tag or the non-exclusive tag where he can still go out, but you get draft capital in return?
I would do non-exclusive, but I don't know what the line.
Let someone overpay, get the comp picks.
Yeah. But
yeah, I don't see
when was the last time that we saw a running back? I mean, I am basically suggesting that you get him into the same position that T. Higgins was in this offseason, right? And like it's obviously a different type of player, but is he at that point good enough that a team will be like, well, we will pay you whatever X million per year at that point and be willing to trade
2 Pro Bowls, by the way.
Jahmyr Gibbs is 2 Pro Bowls already?
23 and 24.
Then he's the maximum 5th year option that he can have.
Yep.
So that's all done.
No all pros, but he does have 2 Pro Bowls.
For the 5th year option, the Pro Bowl matters. So if he's got 2 Pro Bowls, he's maxed out.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh. So here's the thing about the 2022 draft class, and like, because you were bringing them up for like extension talks.
Yeah.
running back, linebacker, tight end, safety. That is the bottom of the positional value list
chart.
Yeah. And so like you might be able to give those players top 5 money at their positions and have it fit, because the cap just going up might be enough room to keep all of them underneath it. If you're like, we're going to give each of you 4 years, top 5 at your position groups, a year out, you might be able to make that fit. It's not the same thing as signing a quarterback or an edge rusher or a tackle, right?
Yep. So top 5, the average of the top 5 safety is around 18.5.
Yeah.
That would put him at 3rd overall, just ahead of Minkah Fitzpatrick's 18.247.
It should be noted that Jevon Holland from the Dolphins was PFF's number 2 free agent this offseason, and he managed to get 3 years, $15 million a year from the Giants. So even though you're giving us what top 5 position money would be, the market may artificially deflate some of these position groups. So
yeah. On the running back side, Saquon just got 20. McCaffrey's at 19, but then like number 3, you got Jonathan Taylor at 14. So there's a big drop off outside of those two. So it was 20 and a half, 19, 14, 12 to 12. Those are the top 5. So the mean would be 14 million on the running back side. Tight end. Kelsey's at 17. Here, I'll zoom in. So Kelsey's at 17. Hawk is at 16.5, 15, 14. So you're looking at about 15 million for average of the top 5.
I'll also say Kittle is up for an extension. He might get like 1 or 2 years at an inflated number. Dallas Goedert.
He's also 32, right?
Correct.
So I'm not sure he's going to get too much more than what he's making now.
Everybody on that list in the top 5 is either 30 or closer to 30 than they are to 25. So Dallas Goedert has been put on the market by the Philadelphia Eagles, and Mark Andrews, even though he's been great for the Ravens, they have other guys, contributors at tight end on rookie deals. He's 30, and he's been like, okay, like you could move on from Mark Andrews. So I mean, like, I think this is the weakest of all the markets, is the tight end one. So I mean, I think Sam Laporta is a lock to give him top 5 tight end money right now. I don't care. It's like it's nothing.
Give him 15, right?
Yeah, it's less than what that would be, less than what we gave DJ Reed.
And then what was the other one that we were looking at?
Linebacker.
Roquan's at 20. Fred Warner's at 19, 18, 17. So we're looking at right around 18 for the average of the top 5.
So compared to what they gave St. Brown, McNeil, Penei Sewell, and extended Goff on, and what they're likely to give Hutch, the guys like Kirby, Branch, Laporta, Gibbs.
Ja. Yep.
I'm forgetting somebody. Campbell.
Yep.
Those are all half what you already.
It's like 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah. So think about this.
2 stars for the price of 1 star.
And this is the positional value philosophy come back to roost, right? So like what you're saying is that somebody like a quarterback, an edge rusher, a wide receiver, now an interior defensive lineman is worth twice what a running back, a tight end, a safety, quote unquote, is worth in dollars. And this is why the market bears that out. So we have a lot of guys in order to like extend, but like they cost half as much. So
So looking at, to your point, look at the edge rushers, right? Myles Garrett, 40 mil. Donnell Hunter 35, Max Crosby 35.5. Bosa's at 34.
And he's going to get, and all of those guys that you just named got more money this offseason because Nick Bosa was at the top of this list when the season ended.
Yeah. Yep. And Donnell Hunter's going to get, I mean, granted, he's 31.
And it's a one-year deal.
Right. And he's got a 27 void year. So, like, he's basically open at the end of this.
And look at the gap between Bosa and Josh Hines Allen.
Yeah.
$6 million. So
yeah, I would expect Hutch in the $40 million range.
Yeah, he's gonna yeah. So Michael.
Yes, sir.
We've had a wonderful discussion.
We have. We always do.
Yes. It's a joy to talk to you. Will you join me for a mock draft?
I thought you'd never ask, Drew.
Thank you, dude.
Yes, I do. I do join you.
Let's do a quick 7-rounder for the Lions.
All right. Let's pop this back in. Mock draft. Oops. That's not what we want. Mock draft simulator.
That's what you want.
That's what I want. We want to do the Lions. Apparently I need to sign in.
That's a huge thing. Yeah.
Let's do all 7 rounds for the Lions.
Back this. Yeah, that's fine. I'm good if you're good.
We'll do that. Yeah, that looks good.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong's excited.
Now, I'm sorry Hanners isn't here. Where's my boy?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Donkey Kong. Do you live over in the Green Bay area, correct? If I remember right, I believe he said that he was over in the Green Bay because that's where the draft is this year, right?
Yeah, it's in Green Bay.
Yeah, so I was thinking that he was over there, and I thought he made a comment about having some property that he could rent out or something like that.
You should.
All right, are we ready to roll?
Yeah, let's go. So, I'm pretty excited. I'm getting real excited. I'm thinking about doing a
Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter.
This is wrong.
The first quarterback goes when?
So the reason this happened, do you remember when you moved that line to about halfway open?
Yeah.
On the board? Like, that's what changed this, but that's fine.
Cam Ward goes, well, I mean, if he's still there at 26, the Rams are taking him. Do we want to restart this?
That's fine.
There's no way this is real.
Yeah. I've been playing around with the settings. Like, if you fuck with the board, it just goes nuts.
All right, 7 rounds, Detroit Lions, public.
It's going to go super fast.
Good.
All right. Yeah, that's way better. Okay.
Hey, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Joe Durson. That seems more reasonable.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Although I don't think
no,
the Patriots are going to take Genty.
I think that we'll be surprised how high he goes, and I will immediately say that it's wrong. Oh, yeah, that is Donkey Kong. He's in Green Bay, yeah.
So he does have properties to rent. Rentals aren't renting. Hotels are available. No one is coming to this. So, yeah, get with Donkey Kong if you want to go to the draft. He's got a place for you.
Airbnb. So,
all right, so we are scrolling way down to 28 for the Lions.
Guys that I would love to be in the range are Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart. That would be awesome. Hey, Kathy.
Hey, Kath. Good to see you.
But
thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, she's a real champ.
She is.
There's a lot of great players here. There's one that makes sense, in my opinion, for Detroit, and I'm becoming very polarized on this, and that's Nick Skirtin.
Skirtin, yeah.
This is just the kind of dude they want. He is
outside the tackle.
Marcus Davenport reborn. In fact, if you go to analysis, I wonder if Marcus Davenport is his Shaq Lawson. Okay, so
still not a bad comp.
No, it's not. But 6'6", 280. He has inside-outside versatility. He can set an edge. He's a pocket pusher. These are the words that you want to hear when it comes to if the Detroit Lions are trying to address the edge position in the format that Aaron Glenn ran, that I think Kelvin Shepherd will continue to run. This is as clean a fit as the draft can potentially give us outside of Michael Williams, outside of Shamar Stewart, who also played at Texas A&M. So if I was the Lions, if I'm drafting like the Lions, this is very clear to me.
So Joseph says Purdue Nick, please.
Same guy.
Is there a new?
No,
Purdue,
it's the same guy.
from
He
Purdue?
played at Purdue and he transferred at A&M.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, Scorton it is. All right.
I did a mock today where I just traded down a bunch to see like how many positions I could potentially fill. I got to pick 3 times in the second round. It was fucking cool. Okay, so in the second
we got
round,
our edge.
We got our edge. That's a big weight to have lifted off of our shoulders. I'm looking for guys like Jaden Higgins, Alik Ayomaner. Those are wide receivers. Okay, hang on. So let's talk about Josiah.
Who?
He means Josiah Stewart from Michigan.
Stewart.
So
yeah,
he's listed as an edge, but if you click on him, Mike, and go to first look, he's 6'1", 245. He is a Sam linebacker if the Lions were to draft him, which means you're drafting Derek Barnes' backup, who you just extended for 3 years. So I don't know if they didn't re-sign Barnes, I'd be all over this. But
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Demetrius Knight.
Yeah, click on him.
Is this a time where we want to go kind of like we've done in the past? We kind of went a little bit back to back. Anzalone has another year on his deal, I believe. Do we take a guy like Knight to play with Jack Campbell to potentially replace Anzalone at the end of his contract?
I really like where your head's at, dude, because what this is telling me is that you're absolutely picking up on what I think the Lions, how they actually are constructing their roster. So will you go to first look for me?
Sure will.
6'2", 245 coverage linebacker. This is your prototypical will linebacker in the NFL now. Faster than he is physical. If you click on analysis, I wonder what his player comp is. Bobby Okerke. Okay. So I like this guy. I wonder. So the will linebacker room right now looks like Alex Anzalone, whose contract is up after this upcoming season. So this time next year, he's a free agent.
Right.
Obviously, Malcolm Rodriguez, who is currently injured. Have to see what he looks like coming back. Just because you have Malcolm Rodriguez, I don't know, means you can't take a Demetrius Knight.
Right. And let's be real. Rodrigo was a star because he played higher than his draft position, but his draft position was pretty low.
Pretty low.
So that's where I think a lot of look at how good this low round draft. He's playing like a second rounder. He's not playing like a superstar. He was never playing elite or real high end. He was just playing above his draft position. And I'm not necessarily sure he is a game-changing starter where we can't upgrade from him even in this year's draft.
So I think
where I love him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with Malcolm Rodriguez. And I think that he was drafted where he was because the Lions wanted to get better at special teams. And then can you develop to be a will linebacker? Would you trade up for someone like Stewart? I would not in this draft, only because they have re-signed Derek Barnes. I like Josiah Stewart. I like Michigan. And this dude is a Tasmanian devil that played for Michigan. This guy's Josiah Stewart is great, but in college you can be 6'1", 245 and be an edge pass rusher. And tell me who the 6'1", 245 speed pass rushers are in the NFL. It is stupid. It is stupid. He has a stupid pass rush win rate. But like, he cannot do the things that he did at Michigan in the NFL exclusively. He has to be able to do more. And that's the problem. So like, I would love it. Another Michigan guy on Detroit's roster. I'm always going to be here for that. But like, you're drafting him to be Derek Barnes' backup exclusively.
Right.
Now, we're doing the same thing. We're talking about drafting Alex Anzalone's backup, right? And so the will linebacker position, it looks like Anzalone, who's great. Everyone loves what Anzalone does on this team. Injured Malcolm Rodriguez, and then Grant Stewart and a couple of other special teams linebackers. So do you want to invest a second-round pick effectively to say you're a backup this year, get your body right, learn what we're trying to do on defense, and we're ready to let Anzalone walk a year from now? That's the only thing that I'm a little iffy on. Most of their developmental guys, they're giving 2 years. So I don't know. He would have to show in limited snaps that he's ready to take over the will linebacker position. But like, I do think that if you do something like this, you're upgrading 2 positions. You're upgrading the future of will linebacker. And then if he pans out, which, let's be real, I mean, Brad's drafting, Malcolm Rodriguez becomes your next Grant Stewart or Anthony Pittman or whatever. And then like, is he just better at that than they are? Like, do you upgrade 2 linebacker spots by making this pick? Like, that's, if you told me yes, I would just do it.
Right.
I don't know.
I love the fact that his run defense grade is so high.
And they will too.
We've struggled a bit there, right? And his coverage grade, he's both good, really good at run defense, but he's also quite good at coverage.
Yep. And this is an SEC school, South Carolina. So, I mean, he's not playing, ACC schools or whatever. So I mean, like, I'm willing to believe that shit, And then I think that Jaden Higgins and Malik Aomaner, who would be ex wide receivers for me, are not on the board at this point. Can you look at wide receiver real quickly?
I can.
Yeah, they're not on the board. If either one of them was on the board, I would pound the table for one of those 2 guys. But because they're not, I'm open to a lot of other scenarios. So just scroll down a little bit. Who else could be on the radar here? The chat loves Stewart. I could see Alfred Collins as like a 3-tech that could eat snaps. Chris
The
Paul's
interesting thing is we don't have a lot of starting jobs to win, and we're looking at a second-round draft pick, so they're less likely to be immediate starter quality anyway. But I'm looking for a guard, and I guess Jared Wilson's the closest to a guard that I've seen. And he's a center.
So there's 2 guards, one of which may not be on the board, and that's Tate Ratledge. So if Tate Ratledge, also from Georgia, is still on the board, he just might be lower. Yeah, so there he is, 91. I would draft him here. I don't care that he's the 91st player on PFF's board.
We're not drafting again until 102, right? So
at the end of the 3rd round. So like, there's an argument to be made that if you want Tate Ratledge, you have to take him now, right? You can't run the risk. So I would be fine with taking Tate Ratledge here, and then he can be your right guard, and you can put Mahogany at left and have an open competition with Glasgow, and then Glasgow is your dedicated. Membo is a backup. It will be a center in the NFL. From all the people that I follow, they say that he's probably a center. So you're drafting backup Frank Ragnow. I know he played tackle at Purdue, but I would I would be more in line for a player like Ratledge, not only because he played in the SEC, not that Big Ten offensive linemen are bad, but he's got the mindset that I think the Detroit Lions look for in their offensive linemen, which is just like they're out there to kill you. So
between Ratledge and Knight, the linebacker.
Well, I think that the points to make to draft each are roughly the same. They're effectively backups who want a year in the NFL to see whether or not they're starters. And so if that's the goal and that's how you're going to fit into the roster, I'm going to default to positional value, and that's guard.
Yeah.
So I would take Ratledge.
Yeah, and I think the linebacking depth in this draft and next draft is going to be a little bit better based on where we're drafting. I mean, as you saw, like the highest graded guard was 90 something, right? So like there's not a ton. So take the best one when you can, as opposed to
one. So this is the first year that PFF hasn't had Mike Renner doing the big board because he's at CBS now. Here's my problem with the guys who are doing the board. Like if you take Donovan Jackson, who's a offensive lineman from Ohio State, he has played almost all 5 positions during his career at Ohio State, but he's primarily a guard. He finished this year as a tackle. So they have him listed as a tackle. He is not going to play tackle in the NFL. He is going to be a guard. So like Joseph made a good point here. It's the same thing with Mabo. He played tackle in college because he's fucking good. So you put him at tackle. But like ultimately he projects best in the NFL as a center. So like they are not putting the positional tags on these guys for what they're going to be. They're doing it as what they did, and that's fucking up the math. So which really makes it difficult for me because I've emailed PFF twice to be like, you're killing me on your mock draft grades for putting Donovan Jackson at left guard, which is how I intend to draft him. He played however X many snaps or games this year at tackle. The dude is a guard, changes his position.
Yeah, or adjust the
or adjust my grade, so like, sorry.
All right, so we got pick 102, third round comp, the last comp pick. So
I'm looking for. He was great as a guard. You're right. So I'm still looking for an X wide receiver to take over from Tim Patrick. So if someone like Savion Williams from TCU is here, I would be looking at that. This dude's a midget.
5'10".
That's 5'10" from his college website, by the way. So he's not 5'10". I think he measured in at the combine at like 5'8", 7/8". So he is itty bitty bitty. I like Torrey Horton. I would love Torrey Horton to be on the Dante.
6'3", 185.
If you guys get a chance to watch this kid play some highlights at Colorado State, he is fun. I would love if you're not sure about JMO, he can do what JMO did. Oh, Josh Reynolds. Have we ever heard of him? So
great route runner, strong hands, fundamentally sound blocker. Sounds like a kind of guy that we would want on our team.
So I mean, like, if you are looking for a dude because like you're just not sure how much like Tim Patrick has left, and you don't get a Jaden Higgins or a Leak Aomaner or somebody like that, this guy is somebody I would like to have.
Do we want to go with Horton?
Fun as shit, as I described him. So like, I mean, it's cool.
All right.
So, right. Joseph, were you talking about the D lineman from Kentucky out of any chance? Mike, will you click on Barrett Carter from Clemson for me?
Sure will.
This kid is talked about as if he's like the second coming. And I just don't I just don't see it. Yeah, Henry To'oTo'o, who plays for the Texans, who has had NFL career so far. This kid is like another guy that would be like, let's draft him, let's get his body right, let's teach him see what he wants to do, and then he's going to have like a 1.5 year window to prove that we'll re-sign him. Like, so I don't know that I love this guy, but like I was hoping that there would be. Oh, is there a kid named Bassa, linebacker from Oregon, who's still on the board?
Let's see.
Doesn't look like it. I do really like, and I hate to say this, Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. Vomit. Like, if you want a backup for Jack Campbell, this would probably be the guy.
Strong run defense. Coverage is average.
Remember, we're in the 4th round here.
Yeah, and he plays strong teams. He played. Yep. He actually showed up well against some big name teams.
Teddy, you're gonna have to give me more than this, Joseph. You mean Teddy Buchanan from Cal?
All right, so where are we going, Drewster?
I don't know. X out of the linebackers. If I'm trying to act like Brad Holmes, continue scrolling. Jack Kaiser's the first guy that even falls on my radar. Savion, well, we took. Oh, another Cal. Yeah, okay. We took
Quinn Ewers.
I like Quinn Ewers a lot, but I seem to be the only person who likes him. So, Mike, here's my question: do you think that the Lions could attack a position in the draft the way that they attacked cornerback last year?
I mean, they could. I'm just not sure what position we need so bad that they would do that for.
Well, John Kaminsky retired.
Oh yeah. So, congratulations to Kaminsky. We're going to mention that early. We forgot about it.
Might be a coach in the near future. Then you have Josh Paschal, who may not get a second contract, right? And you have been notoriously low on guys who can play opposite of Hutch. So if you bring up edges, there's a couple of guys I like. I like the guy that I like a lot is Tyler Batty from BYU. Nick and Josiah. Josiah is not an edge.
Run game, pass rush grade, pass rush win rate's pretty solid.
Hit the yeah. So this is why I like 6'7", 275, right? So, decent player. You're getting him in the 4th round. Just to me, he just doesn't look like a fuck up, you know.
Yeah.
And fits the height, weight, speed profile pretty well. Maybe being from a school like BYU will lend him to like the kind of culture, work hard, do the right thing that the Lions are trying to foster in Allen Park. So I could see it. Savion Jones from LSU right above him is another huge edge player, 6'6", 280. So I mean, if you're just looking for guys who are big edge setters who can push a tackle back towards the quarterback, you know, this is one of the guys, you know. And so like he's more of a pass rusher than he is a run defender. So to me, that says like he's more like Hutch than not, which they're not looking for that. They have Hutch. And if they had wanted a backup that's like Hutch, they would have kept Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
So dealer's choice. But I mean, like, if you told me we went 1st round edge, 4th round edge, I would be like, all right, cool.
All right, let's go with Batty.
Cool. All right. Twee. Now, one thing that Dan Campbell said this week that I thought was interesting was that he wanted more quote unquote youth in the wide receiver room. And I thought that's weird. But he knows the roster better than I do, I would imagine. So I'm having a hard time outside of like a big, like 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver X figuring out what kind of wide receiver the Lions could want. Like, do you want to go a different direction than like what JMO brings? Like, so Khalif Raymond this week restructured his deal. He now has no cap hit in 2026, which is great because of the chart we looked at earlier. But who is Dante? Oh, Thornton. Okay.
Contested catch rate 75%. That's pretty solid.
How big?
Although that could be just 3 out of 4.
Can you? Yeah, it could. What's his height, weight, speed? 6'5", 214. Okay, so he's pretty big. Pretty big. I think we're picking here at, what are we picking at? Like
196. Yeah.
Just scroll down a little bit on this list, will you? There's some slim pickings here.
Well, we are in the 6th round.
Oh yeah, well, it's a solid choice. I mean, in the 6th round, I'm either looking for somebody that's like you're a special teamer or you have some kind of trait that I can develop that like you don't really have. So maybe that is size. So I mean, if we went double edge, can we go double wide receiver X? I don't see why not. And he's
Dante?
been, yeah. Well, let's take him.
All right, let's do it.
We'll call it the Joseph Osteen pick. Oh, I would run this pick in. I would take R.J. Mickens from Clemson immediately, not double thinking it. I would just go. First of all, 0% chance he's in the 6th round. 0.
24.1% forced.
So this is backup Kirby Joseph is who this is.
6 foot 210. All right, Mickens it is.
Yeah, I would turn that card in as fast as the one they turned in for Hutch. I'd be like, it's this guy. This is the guy. So there's a couple.
Did we get our linebacker yet?
I don't think so. If you want a linebacker, like a real linebacker, I would go with Smail Mondin from Georgia. 6 foot 226 is a safety.
Hey, impact special teamer who could play in a rotation. Isn't that what we're looking for out of a 6th, 7th round draft pick?
I would also like, we can draft him. That's cool. But before you click the button, Joshua Gray from Oregon State was a 4-year starter at left tackle. And when every college player can send in their eligibility to be drafted. And like, there's something called the NFL draft committee that will tell you like where they think that you'll go. And they actually recommended that he go back to school and switch positions. And he did. So, like, this is a dude who has made the switch to guard. He's enormous. And, click on first look for me. 6'10", 310. I mean, I think that he plays bigger than this. But, like...
But still, 6'4", 310 is a big dude.
That's a big dude. But like, if you want a guy with positional versatility, he's going to play guard for you, but has played most of his life as a left tackle. So, I would go.
What are we thinking?
Let's go Mondin. But that's just another guy whose name should be on the radar. Yep, they hate the Ratledge pick. Everyone would praise it. If the Lions took Tate Ratledge at the end of the 2nd round, everybody would be like, "Oh, looking forward, yes, oh, indubitably to industry." So that's the reaction that the NFL like draft analysts would give. Like, oh, look at Detroit just restocking on that offensive line, like never taking a beat off. Oh yeah. And then they would roll the clip of him like road grading some poor SEC guard into the dirt and just sucking his soul straight out of his body. And then it would be like, and they're like, oh, but you gave him a D. No, it's wrong. It's not good at all. So and they didn't like the Torrey Horton pick either. And it's because we drafted Ratledge at 60 and they have him on their board at 91. And we drafted Horton at 102 and they have him at 135.
Yeah.
So we're drafting them, according to PFF, a round ahead of where they should go. And I'm here to tell you, I don't give a shit. So, like, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, if Tate Ratledge goes in round 3, it's because he's hurt. And we didn't release the information to the public. Guaranteed. So I have been seeing people do mock drafts where he is top end of the second round. Like he's going to Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and some of those picks. So I mean, like inaccurate. That's another problem I have with the change that's gone on at PFF because they've changed their lead draft analyst. But like I'd be curious to see where Dane Brugler from The Athletic has him. That's all I'm saying. So I would skip down the street happy if this was the Lions draft. So.
Well, I'll throw this into our Discord.
Yep.
And we'll have this on the for all of posterity.
So let's see. It is now April. I do not do April Fool's Day pranks. That's bullshit as far as I'm concerned. So don't expect any of that from me. We are looking to do our second 8-man mock before the draft. What else could we do before the draft?
Could do like a mailbag type of thing. Although most of our shows end up being mailbaggy, right? Like it's half of what we talk about is what the chat brings us anyway. So
how about this, Mike? There's probably not going to be much Lions centric happenings before the draft, right?
Right.
So why don't we take some time between now and the end of the season, continue to talk about like the NFL in general, but like let's maybe do some like, what do we think the first round looks like? Mail sack? What's happening? Oh, I get it. Like instead of mail bag. Well, like
I'll skip that one.
There. Yeah. So it's late.
I'll pass on the mail sack episode, Drew.
It's more like a Santa Claus thing.
Yeah, I mean we can do that. Maybe we take the rest of the NFC 1 week, and then the AFC another week, and just kind of review where some of our competitors are at.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I mean, like I think that if we're taking a look at the NFC North, I think what's going to happen is that the Vikings are going to fall right to the bottom. And I like JJ McCarthy fine, and I don't have a problem if they drafted him. But it's basically going to be a rookie quarterback coming in on that roster. So how good could they be? Maybe really good, probably not. So I will have Minnesota at the bottom of this division, followed by Chicago, who I expect to take a bump, followed by Green Bay. So we could take a look at the NFC. Maybe we could go through and just say pre-draft, this is how we see how the divisions stack up. And maybe we do an NFC mock draft.
I'm down.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, I think. So yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, appreciate everybody joining in. Anybody that I know we got some new people, so awesome to chat with those guys. Do the whole like, comment, subscribe thing. That helps us get out there as far as the YouTube algorithm, so we can get more folks in the chat and talk Lions more.
And that's our goal, is to just have fun and talk. Like, we are so far away from being monetized. I mean, so
yeah, that's definitely not the. Thanks, Joseph. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, till next time, we will see y'all later.
All right,
see you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.